Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at some mini roundabouts. Why do people struggle so much with such a simple junction? It's beyond me, to be honest, but let's see whether we can help.
First things first, the basic stuff. You can recognise a mini roundabout by these blue signs, and effectively what they mean is you must go round in this direction. At the end of the day, they're not called drive-overabouts. The next thing to note are these markings. Quite simply, they mean give way to the right.
So the rules are actually no different than normal roundabouts. You still give way to the right. The only difference really for me is that sometimes a signal to leave the roundabout isn't necessary. Now, that doesn't mean a signal wouldn't be helpful as you're approaching the roundabout. If you're turning left, you still need a left signal. It helps those cars coming from that road to the left know exactly where you're going, and then they can emerge onto the roundabout. And a signal right is also useful because it shows people from the opposite side that you're going round in front of them. But generally, not always, but generally a left signal to leave the roundabout isn't really going to be any use, because by the time you put it on, it's going to be no help to anyone. You're already in the junction.
Let's have a look at a classic mistake one of my pupils made on the approach to a mini roundabout.
Roundabout right turn, please.
It's a mini roundabout.
And for the blue sign?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? So sometimes you don't even need to do your left hand coming off, do you?
Generally not, no.
Okay, 'cause it's really
Correct. Who do you give way to?
oncoming.
Right. Who's from the right?
Down.
Who's from the right?
No one.
Go.
Yeah.
Were you staring at the four-wheel drive going the other way? There you go. So you don't give way to oncoming on roundabout. You don't give way to the first car you see.
Oh, no, it's right, isn't it?
You give way to the right.
Yeah.
And that's people's main mistake
With roundabouts.
with mini roundabouts.
With like waiting round when you
Is
don't need to.
correct. Yeah, they give way to the first person they see.
Yeah, because I was actually about to as well.
You're right, you were, yeah. Rather than give way to the right.
Yeah.
You don't have to zoom on. You should never zoom on and then have to crash into that one on the left.
Yeah.
But a little movement at a speed ready to slow or stop if someone from the left came on is perfect, because then it says to the people on the left, wait, we're going.
Yeah.
Which is exactly the rules.
Yeah.
People often think it's the first person who gets there. Those people need to study the highway code and learn how to drive, maybe take a lesson or two again. Yeah? But you did really well in the end. Just don't get caught onto that first vehicle that you see. As we see, the mistakes that people make often are due to people staring at the wrong vehicles. They often stare at the first person they see rather than actually following the rules. So if you're coming up to the roundabout, try not to be looking so much to the vehicles to the left, because actually when you emerge onto the roundabout, from the giveaway line that you're crossing to that road to the left is a good 2 or 3 car lengths in the least, if you like. So you've got plenty of time, providing your speed isn't too fast, to then deal with any potential problems that are coming out from the left. I'm not saying not look where you're going. You always need to do that, and that's a big skill that people do lack on the road. So give way to the right, look where you're going. Give way to the right, look where you're going. And then when you find a time that you can emerge out onto the roundabout, then check that road to the left out and make sure no one's just going to zoom out in front of you.
This isn't a bad example whatsoever, but make certain when you're using a mini roundabout you do actually go round. Watch the Clio to the right cut the roundabout. And sometimes poor drivers use this tactic to tell off that person who's emerged in front of them. The Clio did emerge a little quickly though, and that can be problematic in some situations.
In a couple of the other videos that I've put out, I've found in the comments that there's a mindset from certain percentage of people that they think that when you get onto the roundabout, you have priority. That is not the case. And in fact, the rules of the roundabout, where you give way to the right-hand side, and that mindset are contradictory. Because if you're approaching the roundabout and you've got on there, and then a car comes from that right-hand side and you impede that car, you cannot satisfy both of those statements. So that's a dangerous thought to think when I'm on the roundabout, I've then got priority. That is not the case. All that does is creates a mindset of people rushing, if you like, to get onto the roundabout first. And it's not right. It's dangerous. You give way to the right and you don't impede anyone coming from the right.
This is one of these clips, and this comes from one of my driving fails back in November 2017. The audio is off because I've got the music blaring and I don't want to be blessed with a copyright strike. As I enter the retail park, we're on the approach to a mini roundabout and I'm turning right. I'll let you have a look at the clip and then we'll go back to it in a second. Okay, let's get back to the approach. As we first see the roundabout, it's quite open to the right, but it's reasonably close to the left behind the shops, but it looks pretty quiet. Even at this early stage, I can see far enough to the right to know that it's going to be clear when I get there. The grey car to my left obviously hasn't done this. They've probably made the same mistake my learner did in the earlier clip. So all I do, I slow my approach, let them finish before I continue. It wasn't helped either by them cutting the corner on the roundabout. And that was enough to draw this comment from one of my viewers. The guy in the car park had the right of way over you. His entire car was in the roundabout before you got to the give way. You shouldn't have entered the roundabout when the roundabout wasn't clear. I'm obviously not saying you should go crashing into people, but that frame of mind means that you've got to give way to the left also. Don't forget, if people do emerge poorly, don't go blasting your horn, just slow down and let them finish.
Does this video seem a little basic? Well, it actually should be, but unfortunately it's not. On a daily basis, I find people cannot use mini roundabouts correctly. They just seem to go when they like. They stare at the wrong vehicles. They don't give way to the right-hand side. So there is a lack of knowledge out there. Try and keep safe, try and follow the rules, and remember, don't cause any inconvenience when other people do have priority. Think about others a little more with your driving. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you all soon.